Okay, it is 5 o'clock, so we are ready for our last session of today, the first day of our brain-based EFL teaching conference. Um, for the people who have joined later this afternoon, my name is Francisca Kelly, and I will be presenting today our next speaker. Before we do that, I would like to mention that this summer, year 2021, during January, there will be some buku workshops. The 3 buku workshops that have been working so well lately: pronunciation, methodologies, and storytelling. So I will keep you posted. I will be posting this information on bukueducation.com and social media, but I wanted to let you know what is coming this summer. Okay. All right. Before I introduce Yanina Jimenez to you, I would like to say that I will be in charge of questions today. So all the questions you may have for Yanina, you can write them on the chat, either for everyone or directly, privately to me. I will take notes so Yanina can answer them at the end of her session. And to get in the mood and to get totally inspired to receive Yanina, I would like to read a quote that says, according to Leslie Hart, "Teaching without the awareness of how the brain learns is like designing a glove with no sense of what a hand looks like, its shape, and how it moves." Now, let's welcome Yanina Jimenez. I would like to say that she is a teacher. She has a master's in education. She's a PhD student in neuroscience, and she's currently living in Chicago in the United States. She has this amazing social media called Brain Tips for Teachers, and she's also developing a learning space design and instruction that she likes to call Engage, Energize, Focus, and Calm Students' Brains. Here I live with you, Yanina Jimenez. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
The pleasure is mine. I'm so happy to be here. And I have learned so much already from all of you, so I'm excited to share some tips today. So I am going to share my screen right here. Okay. Becoming a brain-friendly teacher. And Francisca, that quote fit perfectly in what I am going to say today. So thank you so much. Perfectly. See. Okay, becoming a brain-friendly teacher. Becoming is a process. We will not be a brain-friendly teacher the next day. It is a process where we have to keep learning and keep being open and keep doing our best and keep practicing and keep making mistakes and try again. It is what you said, Maria Francisca, today, the growth mindset. So this is what becoming a brain-friendly teacher is all about, because it's not just the product, it's the process and bringing more brain-friendly practices in our instruction. So the objectives for today, I always divide my seminars in 3 things. One is how we can do this at home, how we can do this in a physical space in the classroom, and how we can do this in instruction. So I am just going to focus today in instruction, online instruction. Those things apply to physical instruction, like if you are in-person teaching, and also, and more so, online. And that is about how she said, engage, energize the brain, focus the brain, and calm the brain. What is all this about? I'll tell you soon. I am a classroom teacher. I teach little people who keep me busy. We are in person in this pandemic in Illinois, United States. And at the same time that I am teaching my little kids, I am teaching online. It is called hybrid. And it is very, very, very exhausting, very hard. That's why we have to have systems in place so we can meet our students' brain needs, because it is a different and unique position in which we are found now. So we have to rise to the occasion and do our very best. And for that, I'm so happy that we have research that can help us do what is best for our students' brains. And those are just of the few of my favorite books on which I digest and transform into brain tips that are very, very, very practical. So you can use this coming Monday. It is not theory, it is just practical tips that you can take notes and use them on Monday. And that is from the book I wrote that it has the same title as this presentation. So why do we have to have a brain-based instruction? Students spend many, many, many hours on the screen, not only for school, but when they go home, they are on video games or they are reading from tablets. They are overstimulated by screens. They see screens everywhere. And here in the United States, I don't know about your country, but it is, I can't believe that study. I just can't, but I am going to say it. Kids spend 9 hours a day on a screen. 9. I don't know. I can't believe that this is true, but it is what research says. So how do we engage our students when they are overstimulated and then we say or do something and we might not get their attention? So how do we do it with all the screen and stimulation going on? So again, brain science is going to tell us how. That's why we have to meet the 3 brain needs our students have: engaging, focusing, and calming. And that is also good for 2 things that we want as teachers: attention and retention. We want to get our students' attention, want to be looking at us. We want them to turn their cameras on. We want them to be listening to us. We want them in front of the screen. And for that, we need to engage their brains. And we also not want just to get their attention, but we want retention. Whatever you are teaching, you want them to remember for a long time. Otherwise, what is the purpose of education? Just entertaining, but nothing lasting. So we have to make sure that we use these 3 strategies so we can have, again, attention and retention. And the first one is about engaging and energizing the brain. This has to happen at the beginning of your class. It has to happen. There is no negotiation. You really have to do this in anywhere you want, but it has to happen. And these are instructional strategies that energize and engage the brain. These strategies have the goal to engage and hook their attention and alert their brain. You want to wake them up. If you're teaching in the morning, you have to do this even harder because you have to wake them up. You don't know if the child is sleeping and having you on the background so you can mark their attendance. You don't know that. So you want them to wake them up. And when you wake the brain is more open to absorb everything. So you want them literally like, and then when they are at that moment, then you put in what they need to learn. So these are also used for when you have to teach very complicated things and you need them to be really paying attention to what you're going to say, because these have multi-step directions. They are very complex. So you want to do that even when you do that. And when you don't do that, if you're going to teach easy stuff and when there is a screen in between, you even have to do this even with more intentionality. Otherwise, you're going to lose them. They turn the cameras off and you lost them. engaged and ready to absorb the concept that you are about to teach. And these are some strategies. This is something of the opposite. When the students are connecting, please, I know it is hard because we have to prepare so many last minute things, but don't be like, I do that. Don't worry that I do that. Or checking last minute things, and then you lose them. The first 2 minutes, you lose them. So the minute the camera is turned on, you have to be like that. You have to have the music on, you have to be moving, you have to ask them, you have to have in their minds, what is my teacher going to do tomorrow? Who knows? Who knows what she's going to do tomorrow? So as soon as they get in, they are like, what is she going to do? That sense of novelty. So some of the things that you can do, I'm going to move my cameras here so I can see the strategies. These are some of the strategies that you can do. Music and songs. We know every time we talk about brain science, music comes first. Because as Maria Francisca said and the others, that goes to the brain in so many interesting ways. Like you can put concepts in it, you can teach skills, social, emotional skills, everything. And also you are in charge of the mood. If you're going to teach something sad, put a sad music. Or if you're going to teach about a problem, put thunders and storms and what is going on? Or if you're going to teach poetry and you put rain and they are going to wonder, what is this going to be about? It doesn't have to be always happy and crazy and this excitement. It can put the mood of what you're going to teach. It can be sad too. You have to create the mood before you begin to teach. Create the mood and then begin to teach. Create the environment first. You can do peer teaching when you have a student as a surprise and the student comes and talks to your students. You can, all of what you see here, you can do it in person and through a screen. You can contact a student and you say, you are in charge today of dressing up, put a costume on you, and you are going to be the reporter, and you are going to say, and here is Mrs. Jimenez coming from the jungle. We don't know, we lost the teacher. Where is she now? Please stay put because she's running late. And you, of course, are on the other side of the screen, coming like all dirty, and you say, oh yes, I made it. And then you create this sense of surprise with another student. When they participate in this engagement, in this engaging part of the lesson, they love it, and then they will want to take turns to do something else. Then you can have a museum where when they are getting in, you recreate a museum on your walls and you put concepts, and then you bring the camera and you say that you are in a museum, and in those posters you have different strategies and principles and skills that they are going to learn that day. The thing is that when we teach online, even if we are in a very small room, we can transform it with tablecloth, with some branches, with a hat, with anything. You don't need so much. Even you can do a green screen behind you and you can make them believe that you are on the beach, and you say, I'm having and the little kids will say, no, you're not on the beach, it is a green screen, but you got their attention. So do whatever it takes. Time capsules, talk like an expert, where you're talking about history. You bring yourself as someone from the past, and you recreate like a traveling machine, and you can have so much fun doing that. The one thing that we can always use, and it is free, and the brain loves that is imagination. Even if you don't have anything, you say, because I have given a lot of seminars, and teachers will say, I don't have this costume, I don't have that book, I don't have that background. And you know what I'll say always? But you have imagination. You can tell your kids, imagine you are falling into a hole and it is dark and it is cold and you're alone, and then you see some, you know what, they will believe you. And even though some kids are like, I'm not too sure, they will still listen to you to see what are you talking about. So you have them no matter what. No one will say whatever. It is too hard to resist. So use your imagination, use props. Don't be afraid to be silly. I am not saying be silly the whole class, but for this part of the class, at the beginning of the class, you really need to bring that. Also, you can use humor. As my students, when I don't have any of this prepared, because don't think that I am having a jungle every day or a surgeon room, or we have done so many things in the classroom transformations, and I don't have that often. And when I don't, and when I am running out of all ideas, because it has been an exhausted week, what I do while they wait on the screen, I write a joke and share the screen. So as the students connect, you hear their giggles because you see a screen. I also bring some of my dogs, pictures of my dogs when I'm running of ideas, and I put a poster and my dog like this on the screen and say, hey, 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 are you ready for today? I have been naughty, I hope you're not. Or I say something that my dogs did in real life, or I put myself like this and I say, I see you, and they tell me, no, you're not there, it's just a picture, but they still like it. So do not take yourself so seriously. We have the best job on the entire planet, and we are not required to be. That's not in our contract. We can have so much fun. We have a career that we can be super, super creative. The imagination has to start with us. We cannot put a limit in our imagination. I always tell my kids when they bring something, as long as it fits in the door, you can bring, I don't care. So I tell you the same thing. And you don't have to say something that it fits in your door because you already have it at home. Go wild. Teach from the kitchen. Teach from the bathroom. Teach from the porch. Teach from below your table, and you're like, oh, something is happening. And if you're teaching about earthquakes, you're pretending there is something, and you have your kids throwing things at you like, oh, I'm here. But, use your imagination to the full in this part of the lesson. What you can do also, because if there is no planning, there is not happening. So when you're at home and something comes to your brain, an idea, you write it right away, and then you start giving form. If you're going to say, I am going to study about geometry or something that you really don't like, because if you're like me, there are some things that I do not like teaching. I see that unit and say, no, I don't like that unit. I don't feel motivated to do this. Oh, I hope it goes on. So when that happens to me, I know that I will be very, like my students say, boring, because I am not interested into that. So in those units are the ones that I have to really get out of myself and make it fun, because if I am not interested in that unit, my kids are not going to be interested in that. So in those cases, when you can bring something from that unit, bring something that you like and insert it in that unit. For example, are you into gardening? Are you into carpentry? Are you into reading? So bring something from your habit and insert it in that unit so you can teach it again with energy and with enthusiasm. If there is no enthusiasm in learning, you can give the best PowerPoints ever, but if you don't have this, it's not going to hear. So when you don't have anything else, remember, you have imagination and a smile. And if you can't smile, do like this, take a picture of yourself, put it on a screen while the students are coming in to your class. So that will say, oh, and that you mirroring. their cells, their cells are going to immediately have a smile and they are ready to learn. Everything is connected. So we have to do that. We have to engage and energize their brains. We can do role play, simulation, classroom transformation, peer teaching. Many people, what they are doing now is that I see it, they have so many apps that you can use, Quizlet, so many, I have lost count. That's okay, but don't rely just on that, because even if you have your child, your student, choose between an app and a real game, or you can say scavenger hunt, go to your kitchen and find two things opposite, one small, one big, so they have to bring two objects. They will prefer going to the kitchen and bring a small spoon and a big spoon than playing on the computer. They will always choose that. We think they like technology, and I am not against technology, because we are talking here across the globe and we can do something amazing. But don't rely just on that. Sometimes the simple things are the ones that wake them up, like scavenger hunt or show and tell. Tomorrow we are going to show something that we like from our homes, because sometimes they can't go outside. I don't know how your situation is in your country. So you can say, okay, today we are going to we are going to show friction, like in science, using paper towels and sugar and salt, things from your house. We don't have to be fancy. Nothing that I am going to talk here today requires you to spend money or go and spend your money on fancy things. Go simple and fun, simple and a smile, simple imagination to have that. And always hands-on learning. We can do hands-on learning through a screen. We can. We don't have to have all the same objects. That is why we have to be super flexible, because if we are not flexible, our parents, our students' parents are going to be frustrated. They're going to say, this teacher, why is she asking for this? I don't have the time. I don't have the money. I can't go with my child to the store. I can't do this. So what you can say is, do this with the objects that you have at home. Do it with, you can do whatever you want. Use your imagination. Don't give specific directions, because we are in a place and time now that we cannot be very, close-minded and say, this is how you're going to do it. 1, 2, 3. We have to be flexible and let them be creative. So whatever we want them to be, we have to do it first. You can use it at home, things that you have at home, and you can say, maybe you have resources that your students don't have, but show them how you can go simple and imagine that your students don't have anything, and you do things with very simple things. So you can show that there is an excuse to love learning, that you can love learning and you can learn a lot from home, from simple things, and there is nothing that are going to stop us from enjoying learning. So that is number 1, energizing and engaging the brain. After all of that is done, it is time to have our students focus. Let's see. Focusing the brain. Because if we are the whole class, I don't know how many minutes your classes are, but here you can have from 30, 40 to 50. You can't have all these movement and things the whole day. You can. It is unsustainable. Kids are going to be exhausted. And sometimes we give a class and then another person gives a class. So we can have them the whole day. It's too much, because you are going to exhaust them and the other teacher is not going to be happy with you. So we have to now bring the brain to a focused station. Before I go to focus, I didn't mention movement. Movement is number 1. Movement and music are the number 1s. And if you don't have anything, again, You have imagination, smile, and movement. You can do things, you can dance, you can use your fingers to explain things. So remember to always go by movement, because kids who are learning from home don't move much. They are here. So if you don't take the time for them to move, they are not going to move. And you know, when they move, the hippocampus love that, and that helps you, whatever you teach, go from the working memory, like Joaquin said today, to the long-term memory. So music, movement is key. Please do it, do it, do it, and that is free. Okay, now after we engage the brain, we want to focus the brain, because there are some things that students just have to work on. And if those are just worksheets, nothing. Worksheets, some people say, oh no, I am going to be a bad teacher if I use worksheets. No, you're not, because you know what is best for your students. And there is nothing wrong in using paper and a page. Now we have Google Docs, Google slides, all of that is good. I am not against that. Please don't ever leave this seminar thinking, oh, that is bad. No, 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 use it. It's fine, it's fun, it's functional. But if you can use that, remember that paper and pencil is actually better for this. So there are some strategies that you want them to really think deeply, that they have to be in silent. Give that opportunity. Having a silent Zoom meeting in the middle of the class is not wrong. And what I do with my kids, because I give them the opportunity to read, we do independent reading, and then close reading, where they have to answer very hard questions by reading the book, not just open-ended. Open-ended is good, but close reading is good too, because they have to really pay attention to what they read. So if you say, oh, okay, after we close the Zoom meeting, you can go and do that on your own. Nope, that is not going to happen. They're going to go to talk to their siblings. They have to do chores at home. Mom says, please take care of the baby. Please do that. And they're going to watch TV. They are not going to have the time and space to focus. So you need to provide it through a screen. So what I do is, I set the timer that I have for me now, and I say 20 minutes, because I can't ask my students more than 20 minutes. If you are teaching university, you can say 3 hours, that's okay. But I say 20 minutes, and then I read with them. And I do a whole show. And I do like this, and I enjoy, and I show them how I read in front of them. So I see all my cameras, and they're all reading. And I force them to do that. Not only read, but when we reflect, like someone said here, we do graphic organizers and all that hard stuff that needs to happen. But if you're doing reflection, for example, I am not, okay, you do reflection, go ahead. No, I write, I stay in front of them, and I start writing. So I gave them the time and space to think, to really enjoy thinking, because learning is not about going crazy the whole day and being on top of the tables and singing and being silly. That has its place. But learning and focusing and going to the executive functions have to have their place. So you have to model it, and you have to show that that is good, that you do it, that you enjoy it, so they know, they savor learning, and they enjoy the learning process. Sometimes we go through something hard, and it is hard for them. So I say, okay, let's think of what we understand. Oh, but this is hard, and then we do it again. But how can I solve this? Yes, I do this. So they do metacognition, and I say to them, the process of learning, the process, not the product, the process of learning is so yummy, so good. Because if we say, okay, as long as you have the answers here, that's okay, send them to me through Google. No, you have to really model what is what it is to be focused and enjoy the process, and you are there on the process. Don't leave them alone. If you have to, that's okay. But enjoy the process. If you don't finish something, I have a rule in my class: don't ever tell me that you are done in front of other things, because that is actually a bad thing. You don't ever say I'm finished, because I want you to enjoy learning, to enjoy this processing of focusing. And you make them believe that this is good, to give the brain time and space to think. We are so stimulated by everything. When is the last time that we sit and think and enjoy thinking? So it is a mindset that you have to show to your students, that it is good to take the time to think, because when we think, learning happens. And learning is not a product, learning is a process, and we have to sit and dwell in the process of learning. And these are some strategies that we can do for focusing the brain. Text to self. We read a book or we read a textbook about science or social studies, and we connect the text to our lives. And then we connect that text to another text, or we connect the text to the world, or we connect the text to our classrooms. Then find elements of social justice. The kids love Minecraft and Roblox and TikTok and Snapchat, but they do also love talking about relevant things. So bring those things where you have to really think about what is going on in the world. Bring serious stuff to the classroom. They can handle it. My little kids, we open, because we have a reflection time that is coming later. We open and we talk about COVID. We are silly and everything. I can be a clown, that's okay. But when it is time to focus, we talk and we listen to each other, and we give the space to think and talk about social things. Social justice is not just for big people, it is for us, for the little kids too. So give the time for them to focus. If you have to give a lecture, why not? Sometimes say, oh, lecture is so from the last century. No, we can still use lecture, and we can teach the kids to take notes, because taking notes is the art of thinking. Taking notes is the art of thinking, because you're not just receiving, but you're also organizing and settling the information. You are also, this is when you do the high cognitive skills on the top of the pyramid. These are all those things, those hard things. But they can, don't ever jump to this hard thing before you don't engage the brain, because they are going to be sleepy and they're going to say, this is so hard, I can't do that. So you have to wake them up first in order to do this hard stuff. That's why it is the cycle of learning. This is not happening if you don't engage their brains first. And this is work. Thinking is work. This is a lot of work. That's why we have to do one last thing before we close the lesson, because this is hard work. This is where we teach them metacognitive strategies. We tell them how to receive feedback, to give feedback. We teach them outline and graphic organizers. Graphic organizers can be 100. What I do is I have a list of all the graphic organizers, and I take turns using them, because they need to see that, seeking patterns, breaking down things, categorizing, criticizing, judge, reflection, promoting against student metacognition. So this is hard. These are hard stuff, and we cannot skip them. This needs to happen. And after we engage the brain, we focus the brain. I bet your students' brains are going to be tired, And you can't go there from another class because they're all like this, and then they are really focused, and then they go to another class. We need to provide the time and space for calming the brain because they just did a lot of work. Now they have to calm down. Instructional strategies that calm the brain are very, very key and crucial. Students need a time to reset in order to be able to engage and focus again, because this can happen in each class. So you need to calm them down to go again to another class. These strategies help students too with the settling of new information and to be saved in the long-term memory. So if you don't have a time to calm down, you really have to provide it. You did 3 seminars now. I need you to go now to relax. It is summer there. It is super cold here. It is -0 degrees, minus. It's a lot below 0. And you need to go outside and think. Don't go into doing another activity that requires cognition. Relax so you can really reflect and let everything that we said settle in. The same thing happens with our students. And I invite you to do that while you teach, because your brain needs to be calm too. That applies to you. Yes, to you. You have to do it too. So when you provide calmness and stillness to your students' brains, you do the same in front of them. You have 1,000 things to do, but you have to teach them to take care of their brains. We have to teach them. We have to model that. We have to say, and everything I say here, I tell my students, okay, now we're going to energize our brains. Okay, now I always say it's time to focus, and they know that that time is not negotiable, because I say, you know, this might be really easy for you, but it not be easy for your friend. So we want them to have a time to focus, and they know, I tell them everything so they understand. And sometimes they say, when it's coming down, time come, because it's too much. So they know that they need their time, and you need it too. So these are some of the strategies that you can use to calm their brains. These are the easiest to come up with. You don't need anything. You don't need anything. You don't need money. You don't have to buy resources. You can just do it. Journaling. In class, once a week, we journal every day, but on Thursdays, we journal about what we felt in the classroom, the things we liked playing. It is like a diary. So on that time, I stop and give them, I don't say, oh, do it at home. Okay, bye. I'm gonna end session, do it at home. No, I do the timer. And we say, okay, now we are going to reflect. And we reflect all together. And we enjoy it. And if someone needs to go to the bathroom, I say, okay, you can go to the bathroom. We can't start without you, because you're going to have less minutes. And I know you want 20 minutes to do this, so we will wait. We really put the emphasis that this is important. It is not like something to fill in time. And no, this has to happen. Note-taking, diaries, writing letters. Independent study. You have to give independent study. And if you think that they are not going to do it, okay, some kids are not going to do it. It's okay. They are going to cheat and make you believe that they are reflecting and they are playing on their Minecraft or Fortnite. But okay, but you have to trust them and give the time to them. We give independent reading, independent writing, independent reflection. You have to give them the time while Zoom happens right here, because we cannot guarantee that this is going to happen at home. So you put 20 minutes and the timer, and the first day you can do 5 if you have little people. Next day you say 10. I go up to 20, not more than that. And that is building stamina. Then audio lessons, you can play podcasts, and they have to reflect on that. Painting, coloring. If you don't have a coloring sheet, that's okay. They can get a pencils and just color things. We say that even in coloring things, we are showing how much we love learning. Then reading diaries, use of clay, free study time, we can say, okay, you have many things to do, so I am going to provide to you once a week 10, 15 minutes so you can catch up with things that you have to from class. So you actually give them grace. Grace, because if we are crazy doing all the things, imagine our students, and we keep giving them things and keep giving them things and think, oh, how come they can't, they are not doing good with their schedule. They don't know how to plan because they play games. Well, that's part of their lives, but in your class, give them grace to catch up and breathe. And if you say, okay, I can give you 10 minutes so you can grab your things, check your schedule, you give them those minutes. You know that you are the safe place where they can rest their brains. We're not going to rest the brains the whole class, but I mean, maybe once a week, you give them the time, but here in Zoom. So they have that same space with you, because that is not going to happen after, because moms are not going to say, oh, come and clean the dishes now, not because they are here with you. They are not going to say that. So you have to provide it here. While they are with you, give them the time, because they will not have it later. We don't know what is going on in their houses. We don't know, so we have to do it here. Listening to podcasts, response to text, response to clips, puzzles, listening to music, word search. This is where you bring anything. You can say, oh, you are into making beads or something. Okay, we're going to do that as we wait. You can design a poster. In this, you can give toys to your students, toys. And they will usually choose something that they like or what they have at home, because sometimes they don't have things at home, the things we ask. So we, in this coming time, we can say, do the things you like, as long as you are reflecting on what you learned. And that is what I have for you. And I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I hope that you start the process of becoming a brain-friendly teacher, because we will never be completely, because we don't know everything that is here. So we're in the path of becoming.
Janina, thank you so much. It's always so inspiring and entertaining to listen to you.
Thank you.
We have a lot of questions, okay? So, well, the first one that was made by Javiera Rosso, how old are your students?
Okay, my students are first grade, second, third, and fourth, but I have an academy where the principles that I teach now are applicable to from pre-kinder, preschool, to university levels. It is the same model, the same framework.
Okay, all right. Then, next question. Do you think those strategies, the strategies that you mentioned, can be applied with teenagers as well?
Yes, especially because have you seen the movie Emoji? The one that is meh. They are in the meh state of life. So if you don't wake them up, they are going to be meh the whole day. And they need to rest. I have taught classes to middle school here, and with those, these are the ones who I have done the classroom transformations. I talked to my principal, and I chose a time where they would come after recess, because I wanted to surprise them, because they come like this to class. So one day I would put the classroom upside down, and they had to discover who did the mess. So we applied that to discovering clues in books. So we do a whole show, and then I have them on the books looking for clues. So especially with teenagers, because you will never wake them up if you don't do something extreme. Never. It's not going to happen.
Great. Next question. What do you think about recorded sessions, recorded capsules?
Yes. Do you mean recording the lessons and then give them to them?
Yes, I think I think this person was talking about how when the teacher records herself or himself without interaction of the children, and then you send that video to children.
Do the same. Do the same. Do a whole video with you, wake them up, and you say, okay, now let's jump up and down, let's do this. Or you come, once it was raining, you know, when we want to follow this model, we are like in search of everything that can capture the attention. One day it was raining, but it wasn't thundering. So I go outside and I start running like crazy and I am giving the lesson. Did the rain have anything to do with the lesson? No, but I am sure they were listening to me because the teacher was getting wet, explaining something about 2 + 2. At least I had their attention, so you can do it there. And then we said, now you have to focus, and then when you have the calm down, don't stop the lesson. Don't stop it and say, okay, now calm down, bye. No, you are like, okay, now I am going, and you record yourself reading too. Okay, now we're going to calm ourselves. We are going to color, and you color for 10 minutes in front of the camera. So they are doing it. You are making sure you give them the space. Don't do it. Don't think that they are going to do it if they don't have you showing them.
Amazing tip. Yes. As Cynthia also said before, and we mentioned at the beginning, the power of setting the example, right?
Yes.
Okay, next question by Carolina. How important is it to stop feeling guilty as a teacher? We are doing our best, she says.
Okay, do you have a camera here? Because that's me. That's me. That's me. We always think that it is not enough. And I love teaching. I love teaching, and I am so happy to be in the classroom. And now, before COVID, I was so free to do anything, and now I am like this. And I think that everything I do, I started thinking that the first 2 months, because we started like 4 months ago, like I can't do that. Oh, they're not going to learn. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't do that. In my classroom years before, we have a flexible seating where my students move in the classroom as they wish. They are totally free, and you think it is a mess and they are loud? Not at all. These little guys say, I can't concentrate here. Sorry about the vacuum. They are cleaning here. I am going to go to the rocket ship. Right here I have a rocket ship because I have to focus. Now my students can't do that. Everything that I have done in all these years is gone. It disappeared. So I had this constant feeling that nothing was enough until I read a lot of books, listened to a lot of audios, and discovered that my smile is enough. It's enough, and they need me. They don't need all the crazy stuff that I do. They need me to be there and to keep enjoying learning. So I am feeling better now. I am not feeling guilty. I am planning with my parents to something fun in my classroom with all the COVID regulations, because at the beginning I would not accept that I couldn't do anything. And now I am starting to think that be here with my students and showing them love. For example, we would do group hugs, and now we can't. So I came up with these imaginary hugs. And at the beginning I was like, no, I'm not doing that. No. I mean, I don't accept this. This is bad. And now I have to say imaginary hugs. And you know what? I enjoy them more than the real hugs, because we close our eyes and we feel that, but that is a mental a mental battle. It is going to be in your mind. And if you let it go, by default, it's going to get worse, because everything in this era and in this time, everything, if we just let it hanging, it goes worse. So we have to battle and battle and battle and battle and say, no, I am not giving up. I am in enough. I am here. I am present. I smile. And when that thought comes, no, I am enough. So please fight for your mindset, because if you don't stop it, like, you are going to go down and you're not going to come out easily. Believe me, I have been there for 2 months, and I wouldn't recognize myself because I am a very positive person. I always think, yes, I hate negative teachers. They are la 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 the whole day. And inside, for the last 2 months, I was like, no, all is bad, all is bad, all is bad. No, everything is wrong. So I was inside changing my identity because of this. And I had to really fight to get out of it and become me again, me, renewed and better and with a smile, and say, I am enough because I'm here.
Thank you, Yanina. Next question is, how long are your online lessons in total?
30 minutes.
Okay, 30 minutes. Is that what you recommend for online sessions?
For my kids, yes. For my kids, yes. I do also that my own class, PhD, and we are 3 hours. We had it last night, and by the end of the 3 hours, I am on my bed doing nothing, and when I close the computer, I am exhausted. So I don't think long lessons are good for the brain, and I am a teacher and I can't handle it. So we have to really, during COVID and online learning, everything has to be less. Everything less. We used to do 20 exercises, give 10. It's enough. We read 3 books a month, read 1 and read it well. Bring it down, bring it down.
Okay, thank you. Next question, is calming the brain closure? And then she wrote the second part of the question here. She means with the exit tickets or reflecting on what they have learned.
Yes, that is closure. But we usually do closures the last minute, as we, hey, don't forget your ticket. Bye, see you, or 2 minutes. I used to do that, and I do it sometimes still. But I have to say, no, tomorrow I'm going to do better. Tomorrow I am not going to rush them, because it is this sense of rushing at the end of the class that my kids look at the clock. Okay, let me reflect really quickly, because she wants reflection. So what I do now is I give them more time so they cannot rush. They cannot rush. I force them to stop to think, because that didn't work before. It was the same. It was just clicking a checkbox.
Okay, and what would you, this is my personal question that I'm mixing with Loreto's. What do you think about maybe having this calming time and then afterwards having our exit tickets?
Yes. Exit tickets, I love that. I love that. But they have to be last, so they don't take the space and time of their coming. Although they can be the coming ones if they do it in the classroom. They could be, but if you send them out with that, yes, that can be after the coming session.
Okay. Next question by Vanessa. Yanina, do you have any ideas for implementing learning centers in online lessons?
What I do is today we did ripping pages, and I have in-person and online. So I sat my in-person working with my online in a center, but I didn't do it 2 onlines. That would maybe be the place of the break rooms where you have different sessions. But what I did in my case is putting one in person to one online to do learning centers.
All right, thank you. And last question by Mariela. No, I'm sorry, by Carolina. What can I do when a student gets extremely energized with the engaging part, and then he or she disturbs the rest of the class in the following section?
Oh, in the following session with the other teacher?
No, with you, I guess.
Oh, with me. Okay. I don't remember having one like that. They usually sit back and do their work. I have never been one that cannot take it, cannot take it, because when we start this, we model, and I tell them, after we energize, we sit and focus. And what I did have, not disruption in behavior, but what I did was, oh yes, remember that? Yes, that was so funny. And they want to keep talking about it. They want to keep talking about how silly I was because I said that I was not Mrs. Jimenez. And they keep on saying, my 6 years old, they are 6 years old. They say, you were Mrs. Jimenez. Okay, and then 5 minutes, you were Mrs. Jimenez, and they are so excited that they keep thinking about it. So I go and tap them and say, you know what, you are right. Now we are going to do this, and I sit with them, and then I start talking to them about the next lesson, because if I don't go and sit with them doing the transition, and if I go away, they will say, yes, you are Mrs. Jimenez. They keep on going. So I have to be there making the transition with them. I have to go by them, because I've had those cases, to be totally honest.
Okay, all right. I believe there are no more questions.
Co-regulation. You have to co-regulate with them. You cannot leave them self-regulate by themselves if they are not ready yet. So you co-regulate, and then when they are ready, they self-regulate little by little. Some of them take more minutes, some of them less, but you have to first go with them and help them.
Great. Thank you so, so much, Janina. It was a pleasure to have you here today. We have learned so much from you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for participating on our conference. And well, we'll be seeing each other on social media, right?
So I have to tell you, Maria Francisca, honestly, I have been in so many conferences, but this one, maybe because I am biased, but this one was very informative, very practical, very inspiring, very engaging. I love that. This is my favorite. So you guys know what you're doing. It was the best conference. So everyone who signed up here is going to leave with so many tools. So thank you for doing such a wonderful job. You're the best.
Thank you. That makes us so, so happy. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Goodbye, Janina. Goodbye, Janina. And for closure today, because Janina was our last speaker for today, Friday the 13th, we have our second half of our brain-based EFL Teaching to Children conference tomorrow, Saturday. We're going to start at 9 a.m. Of course, the room will be open a couple of minutes before, and we will start tomorrow. We'll be presenting with Joaquin Triandafilide for the first session. We will be talking about how to make learning memorable, strategies to empower long-term memory with young learners. Then we have Jessica Urra, and her topic is gamification. From playing to gamification, games used as learning techniques. So interesting. And then last but not least, Monica Rodriguez from Argentina, and she will be talking about mindfulness for children. That's her expertise. So it's going to be very interesting. And as Janina said, just now, we are trying to have all the speakers also mention how we can apply all this information about neuroscience, about how the brain works, apply to education so we can put it into practice right away. Okay, it was an honor to have all of you today here with us. See you tomorrow, Saturday. Have an amazing afternoon. Thank you. Goodbye.